In the shadow of Sagittarius A*, the supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way, humanity built what was never meant to exist, a scientific fortress on the brink of non-existence, floating just above the event horizon. The project was codenamed Oblivion Threshold, but the world knew it simply as Black Hole Base. It was Earth's last gamble to understand the very nature of spacetime, gravity, and existence itself. But what started as science became something else. The voice logs of Commander Cale Rourke begin in static, as if the universe itself resisted being recorded this close to eternity. Day 1. Docking complete. No turning back. Gravity tides feel like they're tugging at the edges of my thoughts. The AI says it's phantom pressure. I don't think so. They said the base couldn't exist this close without being torn apart. But folded space corridors anchored to rotating quantum stabilizers kept it intact. The engineering was unthinkable. A halo of quantum turbines spinning just fast enough to resist the black hole's pull, just slow enough to avoid destabilizing the entire base. Scientists called it dancing with a god. The base had no windows. No one wanted to look outside. The black hole wasn't darkness. It was the absence of even the idea of light. Yet it hummed like a song from the bones of the cosmos. Something alive was in that silence. Something old. The team was 10 strong: physicists, exobiologists, quantum navigators, even a priest. Each one a pioneer, or a fool. Rourke didn't care which anymore. He wasn't here to play scientist. He was sent to protect them. From what? No one could say. Just a hunch from a cold intelligence division that monitored the stars more closely than it did people. Then, on day 3, it happened. A signal. Not from Earth. Not from the base. But from within the black hole. The signal was impossible. No transmission could escape an event horizon. No quantum burst, no light, no radiation. But it was there. A pulse. A pattern. 3 tones, repeating. Measured. Calling. Dr. Yanovich broke first. "It's not human," she whispered, her hands trembling. "But it knows we're here. It's answering." AI systems went haywire. Temporal drift began in the forward labs. The clocks started disagreeing, some running backward for minutes at a time. The priest, Father Elric, locked himself in the meditation dome, claiming he saw something staring through the antimatter shielding. Commander Rourke didn't believe in devils. Not then. But he did believe in war, and something inside that blackness felt like the memory of war, something ancient and unfinished. He ordered a communications lockdown. Too late. The message had already burned through every system, encrypted in every data stream. Not a virus. A voice. Return the key. The base didn't have a key. Not that they knew of. But now, Rourke realized, someone believed it did. And they were coming to take it back. The black hole base, though state-of-the-art in its design, now felt like an ancient crypt orbiting the maw of oblivion. Every corridor seemed colder. The lights flickered more often, though diagnostics showed no failures. Commander Cale Rourke stood in the core nexus, staring at the pulsating waveform repeating across every screen, a steady triple tone. The voice hadn't returned since those words, "Return the key." But the signal hadn't stopped either. It was constant, like a heartbeat outside time. The research team split into factions. Dr. Yanovich and her assistants believed the base had somehow intercepted an intelligence signal older than recorded time, one from an interdimensional consciousness residing within the Singularity. Others, like Chief Engineer Torres, demanded they shut everything down. "We shouldn't be here, Commander," she insisted. "Every second we stay is an insult to whatever that is." Father Elric's sermons had turned cryptic. He now wandered the halls muttering Latin and a language the base translator couldn't recognize. He said it came to him in dreams. No one laughed anymore. Not after the incident in Lab 6. They lost Dr. Havel. He walked into a decontamination chamber, stripped off his pressure suit, and stared into the quantum containment lens. The last recording showed him whispering, "They showed me where the key is. It's in the between." Then he disappeared. Not died, disappeared. Not a single atom left behind. The chamber showed zero mass afterward. Not even radiation remained. Kale initiated a full lockdown of the research wing. No one protested. Whatever had contacted them had started picking at their reality, plucking at the edges like a spider on a broken web. Then came the next anomaly. Deep in the gravity well, within the event logic lab, Dr. Ariachin discovered something impossible, a corridor. It wasn't visible, not in the traditional sense. But gravimetric scans showed a tunnel, a thin line of stable spacetime, extending from the black hole toward the base. It curved, folded, and pulsed like a living artery, threading directly through a dimensional rift. Not even the AI could explain it. This tunnel should collapse instantly under the mass pressures involved. But it didn't. It held. It was inviting them in. Kale gathered the crew in the command forum. The question hung heavy in the air. Do they explore the corridor? The vote was split. Chen, fascinated, begged for a drone launch. Torres argued for immediate retreat. Father Elric declared, the path leads to judgment. And Yanovich? She just whispered, we have to know. We're not here by accident. We're part of its memory now. In the end, Kale made the call himself. Launched the probe. Everyone held their breath as the small drone, a silent silver dart, descended through the corridor. For 20 seconds, nothing. Then the screens lit up. A structure. Not human. Not natural. A floating monolith the size of a city, orbiting inside the black hole. Made of material that existed nowhere on the periodic table. The probe's last image showed symbols. Glyphs carved in repeating spirals. And something looking back. Then the feed cut. And the signal changed. A new voice. A new message. This time, it said, the key is inside one of you. Sleep no longer came naturally on Black Hole Base. Dreams had grown synchronized, as if the crew were sharing the same mind in fragments. Every night, each of them awoke gasping, their ears echoing with that phrase, the key is inside one of you. But no one admitted it out loud. Not until Dr. Chen began convulsing during a systems check. Kale reached her first. Her eyes had rolled back, hands shaking violently, voice repeating strange syllables between gasps of air. The medic scan showed no physical trauma, only massive surges of neural activity far beyond human capability. The AI flagged it as cognitively anomalous interface. In plain words, something was talking through her. When she awoke, she wept, not in fear, but in awe. They showed me the memory, she said. Not mine. Not human. The key is not an object. It's a pattern. A sequence encoded in consciousness. A living encryption. One of us carries it, not genetically, but in thought. Rourke's jaw clenched. It meant one of them had unknowingly become a vessel, an organic vault carrying something ancient, placed within by a force beyond any god or alien. But why now? Why here? The base AI, Odin, took initiative. It initiated a psychological sweep of all personnel, comparing dream patterns, memory loops, even cognitive dissonances. Within minutes, it isolated a statistical anomaly, Father Elric. The priest was found in the inner chapel, standing barefoot in front of the antimatter cruciform, whispering to it like it breathed. His skin bore symbols, burned into him like brands. None of the crew had seen him injure himself. The markings glowed faintly in the darkness. He turned slowly as they entered. It's me, he said, calmly. I carry the key. But I'm only the envelope. The message is not mine. Before Kale could speak, Elric collapsed. His body writhed, lifting off the floor by unseen force. Yanovich screamed. The lights burst. The gravity in the room shifted just slightly, enough that time stretched like syrup for several seconds. When it snapped back, Elric hovered mid-air, speaking in dual voices. One was his. The other was alien. "We placed the key in flesh when the stars were young," it said through him. "To protect it from the Devourers. Now, the Devourers come again." The AI registered seismic activity from the black hole itself. Not metaphorical. Real movement. The Singularity pulsed. Something massive was shifting inside. Elric collapsed again. When they revived him, he was himself, but dazed. The voice was gone. Kale locked down the chapel and confined Elric to quarantine. But it was too late. Odin now detected changes in the gravitational harmonics of the Singularity. The corridor was widening. Not randomly, but as if in response. Then the worst alert yet. An object was emerging from within the black hole. Not a signal. A structure. A vessel. Impossible in every physical law, yet undeniable. Kale stared at the display. No thrust. No heat. Just motion, like something sliding across the surface of thought itself. The base had been discovered. And something wanted its key returned. No propulsion. No energy signature. No mass distortion. Yet the vessel moved slowly, steadily, emerging from within the event horizon like a dream refusing to fade. It didn't push against physics, it ignored them. Its surface shimmered with a geometry that refused definition, constantly shifting between impossible angles. The AI labeled it an extratemporal intrusion. Commander Rourke had simpler words: a ghost ship from the center of time. Inside the command forum, the crew gathered in terrified silence. On the holoscreen, the vessel's structure unfolded like a flower of obsidian and starlight, layers peeling back in recursive loops. Symbols etched across its hull matched those burned into Father Elric's skin. It didn't broadcast a threat. It simply arrived, as if returning to a place it had never left. Rourke issued a red-level alert. All outer airlocks were sealed. No response protocols existed for this situation. Black Hole Base was built to observe, not interact. But now it had become a beacon, an unwilling host to something from beyond spacetime. Dr. Yanovich made the first chilling observation: the vessel was scanning them. Not just the station, but the minds inside it. Odin confirmed increased cognitive resonance spikes across all crew, like their thoughts were being read or echoed. Rourke snapped, shut down all outbound signals. But it was too late. The connection wasn't digital. It was psychic. Then Odin went dark. All systems froze for exactly 4 minutes and 44 seconds. Every light, every screen, every subsystem died. When power returned, the base wasn't the same. Corridors had shifted. Not metaphorically, literally. Doors opened into rooms that hadn't existed before. A hallway led to a mirror image version of the med bay, complete with equipment. But everything was reversed, like walking into a reflection. Kale ordered a lockdown, but even the AI couldn't confirm the station's true layout anymore. Something had rewritten its architecture while they blinked. And then came the sound. A pulse. Not audio, gravitational. A rhythm through space itself. Boom. 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 Like a heartbeat heard through the bones of the universe. The vessel had begun transmitting. But it wasn't a message. It was an opening. The corridor between the base and the black hole widened into a glowing fissure. Inside it, they saw forms, humanoid silhouettes, but tall, elongated, moving without motion. Each one cloaked in bending light. Elric, still under quarantine, stood at the glass, whispering, "They're the ones who buried the key, and the ones who failed to guard it." Suddenly, Rourke's comlink lit up. A voice, not Odin's. Not human. You must choose. One must return with the key. One must remain. One must open the gate. What gate? Kale demanded, but the voice only repeated, "Choose, before the Devourers arrive." Outside, in the far edge of the corridor, something stirred. The light dimmed. The edges of reality frayed. And behind the approaching vessel, a larger shadow moved. Not a ship. A hunger. Time was running out. The command center was silent. Not from discipline, but awe. Fear had evolved, grown teeth, grown thought. No alarms could explain what they saw beyond the viewfield. The vessel from the black hole had docked, without touching. It hovered, tethered to nothing, yet locked to their position like a shadow etched into the skin of reality. And behind it, the darkness deepened. The Devourer had not yet shown its form, but its presence was undeniable. Odin described it only once before going silent again: anti-logic. Anti-existence. Uncreation. A thing that should never have been, now moving toward them through the corridor like entropy given shape. Inside the base, the architecture had begun bleeding into something else. Walls humming with unfamiliar languages, metal rippling like breath. In the quantum core, engineers watched helplessly as the base's mass readings flickered between reality states. They were becoming unstuck, drifting into an echo realm neither fully in this universe nor out of it. Rourke held the team together by force of will alone. Every instinct said to run, but where could they go? The AI's calculations made it clear: any vessel leaving now would stretch into particles in under 4 seconds. The corridor was the only path. But they had been warned. One must return with the key. One must remain. One must open the gate. 3 roles. No volunteers. Father Elric stood first. "I'll open the gate. It's already within me." His voice was steady, but his eyes flickered with something ancient, as if he were remembering lifetimes not his own. Yanovich stepped forward next. "I'll return with the key. If this is information, I can carry it. Earth has to know. We can't die here with the truth." Rourke clenched his jaw. That left him. He didn't argue. They suited up in silence. The docking corridor extended like a silver nerve, leading into the alien vessel. The door opened, not mechanically, but willingly. As if something had decided to let them in. Inside was impossible. The interior was vast, cathedral-like, lit by quantum strands that responded to thought. The walls told stories, moving images of civilizations long dead, all devoured. The glyphs pulsed beneath Elric's skin as he moved, drawn toward a central chamber of spiraling light. There, the gate awaited. Yanovich approached a pulsating structure, half crystal, half neural tissue. She placed her hand upon it. Her mind screamed, but she didn't pull away. In seconds, her body glowed. The key had passed into her completely. A thought form. A sentient encryption. A seed of memory, meant to survive destruction. Rourke turned toward a terminal of light. It did not ask, but he understood. He was the anchor, the one who would remain. The one who would keep the Devourer locked in this realm, long enough for the others to escape. Elric stepped into the gate. "When it opens," he said, "you'll know. Just don't look at what comes through." Rourke nodded. The gate ignited. Reality split open. Elric vanished in light. Yanovich was pulled backward, launched through the widening corridor. Her pod locked on course back to the nearest jump beacon. And Rourke? He watched the Devourer emerge. Not a monster. Not a machine. A wound in space. A scream without sound. He braced himself and whispered, "I remain." The base trembled. And Black Hole Base was swallowed. Earth had waited decades for something from Black Hole Base, any message, any trace. When the probe arrived near Titan's relay station, no one believed what they saw. A stasis pod. No beacon. No energy trace. It had simply appeared. Inside was Dr. Arya Yanovich, alive, unconscious, and cradling a crystalline data core glowing with soft pulses of memory. The moment it was scanned, the station AI shorted out. A voice flooded the comms in a frequency outside human range. Translators barely kept up. "I am the key." Arya awoke with no memory of the escape, only fragments of the vessel, of Elric's voice reciting words not in any Earth archive, and the last image of Cale Rourke standing defiant before a wall of darkness that bled light in reverse. Earth's brightest minds descended into the pod's data stream. The information inside was non-binary, not stored in code but emotion, shaped by consciousness, stored in neural mimicry. The pod didn't carry just knowledge, it carried remembrance. Inside the core were memories from a civilization over 10 billion years extinct, one that had mapped the multiverse, seeded thousands of galaxies, and created the key as a final act of defiance. They had encountered the Devourers, too. And lost. The key had been passed across time and form, placed into thought, hidden from creatures that fed not on matter, but on meaning. A war of memory, against forgetting. The stars had begun to blink, not in random patterns, but in rhythm. Entire constellations flickered like a signal in Morse, as if the sky itself had learned language. Earth's scientists called it a cognitive lightwave, a broadcast not of photons, but of awareness. The key had turned Earth into a lighthouse of memory, shining across dimensions. But the Devourers had followed. Above Europa, the first rift tore open. There was no explosion, no heat, no sound. Space simply folded, like a page being turned, and from that fold came a shape, a silhouette of absence. Blacker than void, it pulsed with hunger. Every telescope trained on it went blind. Every digital record corrupted. It didn't destroy, it forgot. Satellites near the rift vanished from history. Their blueprints, their names, their launch dates, gone. Mankind had created them, but Earth no longer remembered how. The key reacted instantly. It activated the remembrance core, releasing bursts of sentient light across the exosphere. Wherever the pulses struck, memory crystallized. Old buildings regained their original forms, books long burned reappeared in libraries, lost music played in static. Reality stabilized, not through force, but meaning. And then, the voice returned. Cale Rourke. Or what remained of him. Broadcasting through the corridor inside the Singularity, Cale's consciousness rode the wave of the key's memory bursts. He was no longer just a man. He was the echo of defiance trapped within the jaws of unbeing. This is Commander Rourke. If you're hearing this, I'm still holding the line. But they're coming through faster now. I can't hold much longer unless the gate is sealed from your side. The council was split. Seal the gate, and Cale is lost forever. Keep it open, and Earth remains the battleground. Arya Yanovich stepped forward. Her voice was calm. We don't seal the gate. We amplify it. And for the first time in history, Earth united. Every culture, every memory bank, every language, every story fed into the remembrance core. Billions of lives poured their essence into a single act, to remember. Because the Devourers could only erase what no longer held meaning. The light changed. The sky pulsed. The rift above Europa slowed. The creature writhed. And across the stars, other beacons ignited. Mars. Titan. The ruins of Alpha Centauri's colony rebuilt in an instant through collective memory. The key had succeeded. Not through weapons. Not through science. But through narrative. And still, Rourke held the gate. In his final message, his voice broke. I don't know what I've become. But if I'm the last page in this story, then turn it well. Then silence. But not emptiness. The key pulsed once more, then dimmed. Its final act was not light but inheritance. It became part of humanity. Fragmented among minds, encoded in DNA, buried in symbols, stories, and songs. Black Hole Base was gone. But its legacy lived in every story told, every memory kept, every child that asked, where did we come from? Because in the war against the Devourers, the final weapon wasn't a bomb. It was us.